and welcome to another episode of Our Own Devices. And we're going to talk about something that's very close to all of us, right? It could be work, it could be talking to your parents at home, or it could be maybe having a chat with the local grocery store, asking for what you want right now. Um, and that's WhatsApp. I don't even have to tell you that's WhatsApp because I know as soon as I talk about something, a product like that, WhatsApp is going to come to your mind. We have with us from California Matt Idema, who is the VP of business messaging at Meta. And WhatsApp is changing a little bit, and you would have heard the news by now. And we have him to explain what is happening in WhatsApp. Matt, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. We're excited to talk to you about all the progress that we've been making with um, what we call business messaging at Meta, which is a set of tools that allows people to use their favorite messaging app as a way to conduct business. And this is something that we've been working on for several years, and certainly something that we've seen and learned a lot from in India, WhatsApp in particular. And it makes sense that we would want to use messaging apps to talk to businesses. It's the way that we talk to friends and family. It's the way that we communicate with colleagues, and it's what people want to do. Our research and all of our data on how people are using our apps shows us that people want to message with a business. And I think the statistic that really demonstrates that is that we now have more than 1 billion people using our messaging apps to connect with a business each week around the world across WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram. Of examples, we've had the WhatsApp Small Business app, which is a free app targeted at small business owners. It has more than 50 million users each month. We've introduced the ability to message a business on Messenger and Instagram to make those messaging threads easy ways to buy products. So you can DM a brand that you follow on Instagram and talk about the new products that they posted and buy right in the thread. We've introduced tools to help businesses tell more people they're available on our messaging apps. These are called click to message ads. And those are working really well. As a business, once you've figured out how to make messaging work for you, you want more people to do it, and so you can run ads in Facebook and Instagram to let more people know that you're open for business on messaging. And we're seeing this really work for businesses. It's really starting to drive value for businesses, which is incredibly important because we have to do that in order to get them to continue to invest their time and money in our tools. And what we're really seeing is three things there. One, people who can message a business who are using messaging with a business are happier than using other forms of communication, and it makes sense. I don't know if you had an experience like this during the pandemic. I certainly did when I had to call a 1-800 number here in the US and wait on hold for 30, 40, 50 minutes to finally talk to someone. They asked me a whole bunch of information. They didn't know who I was. They transferred me around. It was a very frustrating experience. What we want is the convenience and responsiveness of messaging. So of course we're happier if we can message a business instead of waiting on hold. You can get started in just a few minutes, whether you're an individual developer working on an entrepreneurial project of your own, a smaller company that wants to graduate from using the small business app to something that has more scale and more power, or if you're one of our partners or larger businesses who wants to get out of the work of installing and maintaining the software and have us do that for you in the cloud. The second piece of news today around WhatsApp is around the premium features coming to the small business app. The small business app, again, it's a free app for targeted at small businesses, more than 50 million users of that product each month. And we're introducing powerful new premium features, so new capabilities on top of the free set of features that are in the app today. And the two that we're going to get started with are a custom URL for your WhatsApp presence. So, very similar to how you have a URL for your web page. or a name for your app if you run one, a branded name, you now have the opportunity or the capability to have a vanity URL or a named URL that points directly to your WhatsApp presence. And we are also going to introduce what we call multi-device, which is the capability for multiple phones to manage the same WhatsApp number. And this is a feature that a lot of small businesses have been asking us for a long time.
Matt, very interesting announcements that you have had over the past week. But is it also changing the character of what WhatsApp is? You're going, you've been on the web for some time, but you're also taking it across the board to all businesses in a way. So how is it? Is it actually going out of the skin of WhatsApp, or is this a natural progression of where you want it to be?
It's a great question. I mean, we've for those of us who used WhatsApp over the years, it's we started using it to talk to friends and family, um, and and during my time working at WhatsApp, we saw the product evolve. It started out just as chat. Then we added more ways to talk to the people who were close to us. We added calling, we added video calling, we added the ability to share a status update or a story. And we felt back then that people really did want businesses to be a part of the experience. And in fact, this is what we saw. And India showed us this when we first started thinking about how businesses should be a part of the WhatsApp experience. What we saw is people were already doing it. They were doing it with small businesses. Small business owners were using WhatsApp. They were putting WhatsApp numbers up on their stores. They were saying, "Hey, you use WhatsApp already? Just message me when you need groceries. Just message me when you are looking for a new pair of shoes." And business owners loved it, but at the same time, we hadn't built them any tools. We hadn't made it easy for them to do that. Right? They were using an app that was built to talk to people close to you, had no business capability in it. And so our first step was, okay, well, let's give small businesses a product built for them, and let's see how people respond. And businesses loved it, and it made the conversations easier for people. And then we introduced very slowly the ability for larger businesses to be on, because if you want to talk to your grocery store, if you want to talk to your favorite local clothing store, you also want to talk to your bank. You also want to talk to your your telecommunications provider. You don't want to just stop with some businesses. You want to be able to talk to all of them. And we saw the same thing from consumers, which is if they were able to talk to the businesses they wanted to talk to, that was a welcome part of WhatsApp. Now, of course, we have, just like with groups or broadcast lists or any capability in the app, we need to make sure we're building tools where people feel like they're in control. So that, if the conversation is one they no longer want to have, they can control that. They can take that out of their WhatsApp. And we need to make sure we're building systems to ensure that the experience of talking to a business remains high quality. So it's a bit of a long answer to your question, but it's been a progression. It started with a belief that people wanted this because it's what we were seeing in the usage of the app, and we've slowly introduced capabilities to make it possible. And so, yeah, we think this is a natural part of what people want to do as a part of WhatsApp. And especially during the pandemic, we saw that it's been incredibly useful. When buying in a messaging thread is something that's actually quite a good experience when implemented well.
Also, Matt, as WhatsApp moved from being a personal messaging platform to the business angle, you also put in a lot of checks to prevent spamming of customers. It's not easy for a customer or a business to reach out to a customer without their consent. So, do those kind of checks stay in place as you go to the big businesses? Because otherwise, your users will always have the fear that I'm going to be spammed. I'm going to get a lot of unsolicited messages. So, how are you going to work on that?
Yeah, of course. And we were very, we were really conscious of that when we started down the path of, hey, how do we want businesses to be a part of the WhatsApp experience? I mean, email has become, unfortunately, there's a lot of spam in email. Same for direct mail for those of us old enough to remember getting things in the mail from businesses. and of course spam calling. So we were very conscious that it could happen, and so that's why a lot of the checks that you mentioned were put in place. And then we've been and will continue to invest in technology that spots those types of patterns and removes them from the system. And one of the main things we want people to feel is control, right? So when you do get a message from a business in your WhatsApp, the first thing you will see is did you want this? And if you didn't, you don't have to have it. And if you do, then great, the business can talk to you. The other thing I would say, Nandu, is businesses don't want they don't want to make the experience of messaging with them bad, right? So they're also quite invested in understanding, hey, how are my customers responding to these messages? Is this form working? Is this message working? They want to see that information before they really reach out to a lot of people. And so another part of the system has been just letting them know, hey, the messages that you're running right now, you can look here and see, are people responding well to those or not? So they have an incentive, to make sure that they're keeping the experience really good for their customer as well.
A lot of the businesses that you were catering to, the small businesses, the mom and pop shops in your local community, I've seen a lot of them sort of juggle with multiple groups because you had limitations on the size of the group, because they were using regular WhatsApp. So did you also listen to the requirements of these small businesses who wanted to maybe just go one step further? So is that are your features also a result of a lot of conversations that you've had with the stakeholders here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. What we saw, this all started with us seeing what small businesses were trying to do. And I remember meeting with many of them when I would come to Mumbai or Delhi, and they'd take us to their stores. They'd show us, hey, I have to hire an extra person just to answer all these WhatsApp messages. And most of the time it's the same question, send me a picture, what size is this? And so we started to build tools to just make it easier for the business owner to respond to common questions. And then, that led us to, I want my business to be represented on WhatsApp, right? I want a profile that looks different from what a regular user of the consumer app can do. And so we introduced business profiles, and then we introduced catalogs, which made it very easy for them to upload their products, so people could look at their products and not ask those basic questions anymore, but ask more detailed ones. And then we've just continued to listen to especially what small businesses have been asking us for, and adding those tools to the product. And that's part of the reason why we're so excited about the premium offerings. I mean, those are like power tools for businesses that really run on WhatsApp. And so, everything we're talking about today is, as you said, a progression based on feedback from the businesses that have been using WhatsApp for years.
This new feature of offering a vanity URL, it's for a lot of small businesses especially, it's going to be maybe their only web presence, or in a way that is going to be their address. So does that also mean that you're going to do a lot of hand holding to tell them how to use it, how to market it, for instance, because they can actually go to the next level with something like that?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons we're really excited about it. Again, it's another feature that businesses have really asked for. Is in the early days of the web, businesses wanted a dedicated URL, right? It was their address on the internet, on the web. It was the way that they got discovered in search results. And so that's very analogous to what the vanity URL is on WhatsApp. It makes it easy for them to be remembered by their customers and use that URL anywhere where they're trying to promote their business. So, they are quite excited about it, and we've given them tools to promote their business on WhatsApp, on Facebook and Instagram with click to message ads, where they can tell people who use Instagram or Facebook but haven't started messaging with them, hey, tap on this ad and you can start a conversation with me in WhatsApp. That's been very popular. And so this is just another tool in the toolkit of making it easier to tell people that you're available on messaging.
If I can ask one last quick question, Matt, how important is the payment piece in this entire ecosystem?
It's very important, and that's why we've spent so much time and energy making it possible to use payments in WhatsApp. Um, you know, you have a great conversation with a business, you decide you want to purchase the product, and you just want it to be easy. You just want to tap and pay digitally, and that is the promise of UPI. And so we're quite invested in it, and quite hopeful that by making that available for businesses as well, that it'll be really valuable for consumers.
Matt, thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thank you.
You are listening to Our Own Devices, and we'll be back again next week with another guest.